This is the forum that allows people to voice their opinions and to express their feelings without censorship, without restrictions. And we are so proud to be here today to show our support.
Iowa City is very proud of the fact that it's known as the city of literature, but I believe that should just be part of a goal and not the final goal. Iowa City should be a city of all sorts of art and culture, including the digital arts that PATV can provide.
Happy notes for the community gathering, an event that we'll celebrate. It's a form of celebration, just an official moment in time.
I'm here to support PATV, your neighborhood network, Channel 18, because they are the voice of Iowa City, the citizens of Iowa City, and we need to support that. Otherwise, we will not have a local voice if we don't have PATV.
Section 1, letter L, performance review. In cooperation with the city and after 3 years of operation under this agreement or any renewal or extension thereof, undertake a performance review that shall include an opportunity for public access users, cable subscribers, and the general public to provide comment. At this time, I would like to ask that we limit the public comments to 5 minutes or less so that everyone can get an opportunity to speak.
They're very helpful and very creative, and they really help me create a show that can depict disability in a more positive light. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Chad Simmons. I'm the Executive Director of Diversity Focus. The Diversity Focus was created by innovative leaders from organizations like Rockwell Collins, ACT, University of Iowa, Alliant Energy, and many others in order to help create an environment that diversity is embraced and is a competitive advantage to us here in the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area, the creative corridor as we call it now. And I would like to, again, give you my quick assessment of the value that PATV has brought to us as we start doing much of the work that we've been putting forward. PATV has been a valuable partner for us. We're specifically working on creating four 30-minute television shows showing the life of Iowans here from different perspectives. One of a person who is an Iowa native who is Muslim, another of a family from the GLBT community and the issues that they deal with and the joys that they deal with here within the corridor. Another of an immigrant and the experiences that he has gone through and the challenges as well as the joys that he's gone through and others have gone through. And then the last one is of a millennial, specifically of an individual who is new to the community, and as they start working and came here for their career, how they in essence focus on building a life. Now, Diversity Focus could have chosen many different partners, and we have the ability and the resources to do that. But the unique part of PATV is the ability to create and the ability to do exceptional storytelling. We also have the ability to link in others like students to get engaged and involved in the process of, again, telling our story. And there's nothing more powerful than people being able to be a part of telling the story no matter how long it takes in order to get it right. So I would just encourage you to continue to have this resource for us, for the community, as we make this community the best place to live in the country. Thank you.
I'm certain that there's a lot of folks here that I expect will tell you all about how wonderful a resource to the community PATV is, but I'd like to tell them, my producer Tack there, Emily, Josh, you know, we've been doing our show, oh golly, about a year and a half now, and you know, we get some press now and again, but I've never felt the accolades were mine because without the guests, there's no show. You know, anyone could sit at can ask questions. I don't think I'm, you know, terribly unique in that regard. But the fact that I have had the opportunity with my show to meet and talk to so very many interesting and important members of this community, be they politicians, activists, religious folks, educators from the university, from the schools, artists, musicians, performers. I mean, my gosh, what a fantastic community we live in, and who else, except for PATV, gives the opportunity in this form of media to share that wealth of creativity and intelligence with the whole community. I mean, this evening I'm leaving here. I'm doing a show with the folks from the Broadway Neighborhood Center about the 319 Music Festival that's coming up. I'm sure they'll get a little tidbits of press in the Press Citizen and the Gazette and the Daily Iowan as we get closer, but who has the time and the money to make a half-hour show about that? Nobody, not anymore, not in today's media climate. At PATV though, we can and we do, and I'd like to thank the station for making that possible, not just for me, but on behalf of the entire community and all the folks I've been fortunate enough to talk to. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Yvette Craddock. I'm the host and producer of a PATV show entitled Frame that is dedicated exclusively to art and culture in the corridor. I have great respect for PATV because without their vision, the show wouldn't exist. They're way ahead of the market. And a testament to that is that the show has been in existence for almost 3 years and came into existence prior to the corridor branding itself as the Creative Corridor. I'm very proud to say that this is the only show that's tied not only in the corridor, but in the state of Iowa. And it's apparent to me the need for the diversity in programming and subjects that air on PATV through the staff and through independent producers such as myself. I get emails and calls every day about content people desire to see, but they cannot because it's not given to them through traditional media. So therefore, there is a need, a desperate need for the existence of PATV in this corridor. I think it's important to note that when I mention the corridor specifically, many people from outside of Iowa City look to PATV programming to keep them informed and keep them engaged with what's happening because they cannot get the information in other places. I've lived in many cities across the country, some of the biggest, and I have to say that PATV is a gem to this community. It's something that we need to hold on to, cherish, and respect, and definitely my recommendation is to keep it. I think it ties in beautifully with Iowa City's literacy heritage because it helps people to understand media literacy through having the opportunity to check out cameras and to edit shows and find ways to tell their stories. So please, as you review the proposals and take in the comments from guests, please keep PATV on the air. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
PATV, last year when the North Side decided to bring up the first annual Oktoberfest, we needed some tool to spread the word around, and the tool was Talking in the Air, which actually invited all the 3 members of our organizers of this Oktoberfest and spread the word around. The outcome was about 10,000 people came at the festival. It was probably the first festival in town, which is done during the school year. So just wanted to say thanks to PATV, and we're going to do another festival this year, and we hope that they will bring us again on the shows over there and spread the word. So I'm asking you to support PATV for another, I don't know how much, 3 years, and keep this thing alive. Thanks.
Thank you. My name is Manuel Galvez. I am a producer for 2 Latino shows. Actually, after I know about this station, I was so happy because as minority, we don't have usually like the traditional media to expose and to tell the people what is happening with us. And also, PATV helped us to put this show in Spanish. We have 2 programs right now, and we try to interview the leaders in the community, people like is working with Latinos and Latinas. So the people is so happy after like 1 year. We had the opportunity to interview many people, like they are doing wonderful like a job with the Latino community, try to integrate the community. Actually, PATV is a very friendly tool to do this transition for us in this country more soft. And also, besides that, for me, the most important one of these shows is for youth people. And that is a very important tool, just not to tell what is happening with Latinos, but also to empower these youth people, to try to tell them that it's another opportunities. After 1 year, we had more than 20 youth people involved in different kind of cameras, hosting the show, and they're so happy because they can see they can succeed in this country too. And I think for me, it's very important for the community, for the diversity, and I hope PATV is in the air for many years, and I'm happy, and thank you.
Because I am a local comedian and author, and nobody really cares about that. Except here's the neat thing. This morning I looked up my book because I have a weak ego and like boosts, and found out that out of 54,000 memoirs on the Amazon Kindle, based according to average customer review, this morning mine was number 15. The thing about that is, again, nobody cares except for the bearded fellow right there, Mr. Yale. He actually hounded me down and had me on his program, and because of that, I think, how many, several thousand, 2,000, something like that, people hit the web interview and were able to discover me. I'm not getting on Letterman anytime soon or any other talk show able to talk about my book, but everything starts locally, everything starts small. You start where you are and then hopefully spread. When budget time comes up, we all know that the arts are the first thing to go. It's very easy to cut them because they won't have the Koch brothers in here supporting them with their money. It's, you know, you have idiot authors and people like in Yale that don't shower often, and you know, someone that's going to get up and talk about kids on his lawn, even though that's not appropriate right now. And but you know, you have to make tough decisions, and to hold on to the arts or local broadcasting or things like that, it's a tough decision. And to, I suppose, steal, I'm making this all off the top of my head, so forgive me for ineloquence, to steal from, what movie is it? Tom Hanks, Madonna, A League of Their Own. He said, tough decisions. It is a tough decision, but if it was easy, everyone would do it. The tough, the difficult is what makes it good. So keep it around for that.
Hi, my name is Craig Dowland, and I've produced a couple shows over the years, one dealing with sports and occasionally host some other shows, but that's not truly what's important. What the most important thing I find about PATV is, I mean, Iowa City #1 is just extremely diversified. That's the beauty of Iowa City. I love this town. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And to have the ability for different people coming from different groups to have a voice within the city, and a creative voice, that's huge. You know, if you have that inside of you to be creative or whatever, you know, you've got to get it out. And to have that ability in Iowa City, it's just, it fits so well with Iowa City. Because Iowa City is such a layered community. And to have that, to have each individuals to have a chance to put something together to inform is so huge. Now, today I spoke with somebody and I said, well, I'm coming here, and they said, and he said, well, he just gets channels 1 through the basic Mediacom, channels 1 through 22, and he said his favorite channel is channel 18. You know, I'm not making that up, and he said him and Wendy, this is the guy that lives in the mobile home park where I work, and he said we always watch channel 18 and we have a great time. So I hope you guys keep it. I've enjoyed it myself, so thank you a lot.
Well, my name is Daniel Beltran. I am a researcher at the University of Iowa, and I am also a Christian pastor. And I am not a professional or a comedian. I'm just a person that has something and some ideas in my mind. And I didn't know anything about TV, how to use a camera, how to edit video, how to reach the community. But I know that I want to reach the Hispanic community, and the best way to do that is through the media. And so when we had the idea, and Manuel told us about PATV, and we want to visit them, we found, you know, a wonderful team. So they help us to use everything, and they help us to reach the community. And that's something wonderful, because I think it's very important in a community, you enhance what is people that they want to bring new things into the community. And they have done so. So I would like to encourage you to support them. And I don't know to whom I should speak also, but also to raise the money that they are putting in the channel, but because they are doing great, and I think that the more that you support them, it's going to be for the good of the community. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Blackwood, and I'm president of Landlocked Film Festival. And from the very start, and we're going for our 6th year this October, but from the start, PATV has helped us in so many ways. And they've helped us not only to get the word out, but also they film some of our workshops and other events. So if people couldn't go to these workshops or panels where people from Los Angeles and New York come, they can watch it on the TV station or online. So it gets the word out about that. But also, they help us to run workshops, and they help, as I said, to get the word out or to provide bodies when we need them for volunteers. So they're really critical to our film festival. And I also personally know most of the people who work there, and they are so helpful, knowledgeable at all times, and just wonderful to work with. Now, another thing that I just want to say is that Landlocked Film Festival does support independent filmmakers. And I think we all know that film used to be really expensive, and everybody knows that the digital video revolution has made it more accessible to people. That is very true. But even so, if you don't have a lot of money, it still can cost a lot to buy a camera or to buy the software to edit or a computer that can handle it. So the means aren't really still in everybody's hands. So what PATV provides this community, and I think it's pretty amazing, is the equipment that somebody can go out and learn how to use and shoot their film or their documentary, learn how to edit it, get some help from the PATV staff in every aspect of this so that they can get their word and their art out to people, something that maybe a person without a lot of money would not have been able to do without having PATV in the community. So I find that incredibly important because if there's one thing that matters to me, it's that we have diverse voices in the media, and it's still not totally free to do it when it comes to movies. So if you don't have the equipment in this community, you are so lucky you can come down to PATV and still learn how to make movies. So I really hope you continue to support them in our community. Thank you.
For me personally, public media has given me an outlet to create work that is hopefully enjoyed by others. I've created radio documentaries, commentaries, and essays. It's helped me to explore desires and talents that I've had for years, but haven't been able to realize. And as we've talked about, the rapid technological advancements makes it easier for people to create original media content. And PATV is providing a learning experience for me to grow personally and help me feel more connected to the community.
Hello, I'm Shinji from Japan. I am a former television news producer for the public broadcasting system in Japan. I am now teaching media studies at a college in the city of Osaka, that is in the west of Japan, but currently visiting University of Iowa as a researcher. It is a pleasure to study in such a beautiful place like Iowa City. Today I'd like to address how I see public access television as a visitor from a foreign country. First of all, I regard PATV as one of the social capitals for the community. That is, public access television is where people gather to create a variety of shows as community projects. A decade ago, a scholar whose name is Robert Putnam pointed out in his book, Bowling Alone, that television is one of the reasons people in the United States became isolated. In Putnam's observation, people started to consume their time at home in order to satisfy their appetite for amusement on television, and thus they became reluctant to go out and participate in the activities of their community. On the other hand, public access television has been trying to reinstate community activities since they were launched as early as in 1970s. That is, public access television has tried to make people involved in the programming as producers, directors, cameramen and women, audio, and several other kinds of staff. Iowa City, for example, PATV cablecasts programs such as Live from Prairie Lights. I believe many people have been involved in the Prairie Lights show, not only as technical staffs, but also as volunteers and audiences. I wish I could have such a program in my hometown in Japan that tells us to whom I can meet at the local bookstore. Secondly, I understand that public access television is the place where people can speak up freely, and thus its program can be the historical records for the community to review what kind of issues that people faced in the past and how people thought about it. I once saw the program about Occupation Iowa City on PATV. A vehicle that enables people to be heard and also reviewed is vital to democracy, and it is better if you have more vehicles like that. Print media are friendly for the people who have difficulty in hearing. Radio is friendly for the people who have difficulty in reading. And television is friendly for the elders and the people from foreign countries like myself. Today, people tend to think that the internet covers all the demand, but I do not think so. Traditional media still remain as friendly media. And people should not forget about public access television because of the internet. By the way, my home country, Japan, does not have public access television except for a few instances. That is because we never have mandated our cable system to reserve channels for the community usage. We do have some community television on voluntary basis, but I can say television is very much the one-way media in Japan. In order to overcome this situation, my colleague researchers and I have been writing several books and papers about public access television in the United States and educating the people of Japan to teach the notion of public access to the media. And this is one of the booklets that I wrote with my colleague researchers. And here's a diagram of the channel list that you have in Iowa City. So you guys are famous in Japan. It's written in Japanese, but you can And I am proud to tell you that some inspired people are holding the national meeting for the community media, what we now call it Meeting for the Citizens Media, in September or in October, every year since 2003 in Japan. At the meeting, people show each other's program that they produce at their local community. To conclude, I'd like to give emphasis on the fact that public access television has the potential, 1, to make people involved in the activities of their community, 2, to make people realize how vital it is for democracy to speak up what they think is important for the community. I hope PATV in Iowa City will last forever so that I can bring my students from Japan in the future and let them see and practice how to run the public access television in their local communities. Thank you very much.
I reflected on different aspects of PATV, what it means not only to me, but also to this community and the community at large across the United States. Something that came to me was that it was a gentle peace that eases the community. We're living in some stressful times, and PATV offers an outlet for people to give a gentle voice that can ease the community. It's a community treasure. Tune in sometime. Again, I was at a conference in Tucson, Arizona, and I mentioned that I was from Iowa City. And heads turned because of public access television. It has a great reputation across the United States. So when I spoke, everybody listened. And normally in these workshops, nobody listens. Okay. It supports an independent voice in the community. I think we've heard different folks here speak about the independence of voices. But also I would speak about the interdependence of voices. Iowa City is lucky to have public access because it's a cutting edge in Iowa, but also across the country. If you think about cutting edge, it's not necessarily all the high techno stuff. It's a persistence of vision and a perspective. Not necessarily techno, it's content. What gives us content in our minds and in our hearts? Content. And therefore it's a voice in the community, and it empowers independence. I guess the young man left, but it empowers independence of voice, and it is a decentralized point of view. We have so much of our community is so centralized. What's the bottom line, this and that and that and this. We don't have too many decentralized points of view, but we're seeing it all over the place here tonight, or this afternoon. And it's a place where you can develop a voice so you can have a viewpoint. Most importantly, it supports creativity and imagination. Something Iowa City kind of cherishes and prides itself on. A lot of times it kind of falls asleep on. But it truly does support creativity and imagination, and it's something sorely missing in every community. And that is better known as storytelling. We're all built for story, and this is one of the great sources and treasures for storytelling. And that creates a healthy community. A healthy community is that which tells stories, not only for this generation, but say a few 7 out there. So, as one of the 3 UNESCO World Cities of Literature, Iowa City is in the heart center of that, and PATV is in the heart center of storytelling and creating literature. Its contribution of storytelling and literature is literally incalculable, and therefore profound, in a very silent way, a profound way. And I would say, in its own way, it's a writer's workshop of the air.
I have opportunities to work with people of all ages and or places of origin. And the young high school students I sometimes work with, and the other people, the elderly and everyone in between, have a chance to work together towards some common goal. And I think that's a wonderful aspect of PATV.
And this year will mark 50 years that I've been in film production. I literally started cutting 16mm film when I was 7 years old. I've worked for NBC, I've worked for Fortune 500 companies. I've had my own documentary and commercial production company since 1973. I owe a great debt of gratitude to PATV, as they provided me with a venue for instruction in which I was able to transition out of literally cutting film into digital film production about 10 years ago. I believe that PATV serves as a tremendous community resource in education, training, and production for aspiring young filmmakers and seasoned creatives. Now more than ever, digital storytellers have the opportunity to create film and have a public forum to express our creative and unconstitutional rights. For me, PATV is the most valuable resource in the Iowa City corridor, and I urge you, without further contemplation, to unanimously approve PATV's contract and secure its place in the coming generation of producers and filmmakers in the Iowa City community. Thank you very much.
And I would say that in these days, people say we don't need it anymore because everybody has a camera on their phone, and we have YouTube and Vimeo and all that, Facebook, whatever. But having been hanging around there for all these years, I would say that it's actually busier than it's ever been. There are more and more people who want to edit, people want to edit in high definition. It's more, I think, useful now than it ever was before. Because I've been, as I said, I've been here for 25 years doing shows and turning them in every week. So I would just say that we should keep it because it seems to be a very important resource for our community and people. There are more people there than ever. Every time you go in there, it's really humming. So people who think it's like a closed club or something like that haven't been there because there are all kinds of diverse voices all the time. So, thank you.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Showmaker said everything I wanted to say, and I wanted to say as well. And it has to do, I think, with his beard and the hair and the hat that makes something common. But I would like to tell you this, public access TV, I feel, is probably going to be the only open democratic forum in our society. I mean, we are getting more and more now contraction. I have seen it over the 32 years I worked in the media. I was in the Des Moines Register. Now I write for the Press Citizen. And I tell you, it's getting more and more contracted and more government interference, regulations, except in this little room that's called Public Access TV on Dubuque and Lafayette. Please keep it, because this is the only place where someone like me, along with this procession of accents that you heard tonight, which by itself is a testimony to the diversity and the tolerance and the acceptance that this little room provides us. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Josh Ecklow. I've been working in video ever since I was a kid, and I was sort of inspired to start working in video I think when I was very, very young, probably just old enough to start surfing cable on my own, when I came across this weird set of channels that was in between CBS and ABC. And this was back in Chicago, so we only had maybe 1 or 2 public access channels. And most of the day it was just like a slideshow or something not that interesting. But if I was able to stay up just a little bit later, I would see some of the weirdest, most awesome stuff I had ever seen. And pretty much as soon as I saw that, as soon as I could, I found a friend who had a video camera and became instantly his best friend, just so that we could start making things and try to get them on the public access, which we made a lot of things, but we never necessarily got them on the public access in Chicago because I think it was actually quite far away and we were pretty young. When I moved to Iowa City, or actually before I moved, I came here for a visit. I did my undergraduate studies here in film and video, having been so inspired by my childhood stumbling onto public access television. I was just sitting around late at night in Iowa City on my visit, didn't know anybody in town, and I tuned into public access television. And I said, this is incredible. And then I kept flipping the channels and I saw how many public access stations Iowa City had, which is truly incredible. There's so much public access in Iowa City that pretty much that alone showed me that Iowa City was a place that really encourages community and public access to a medium which is very expensive, not just economically, but in every way to access, which is television. I instantly became enamored with public access television, and as soon as I moved to town, I don't think I ever turned my TV off channel 18. It just stayed there. And if it was after 9 p.m., the TV was on, and PATV was playing regardless of what I was doing. I stayed after I graduated and went into intermedia, a graduate program where I continued to do video art, which is what I would consider most of the stuff on public access television. And I started working with another artist who moved to town, my good friend Derek Andes, and he said when he moved to town, before I even met him, he checked into the hotel and turned on the TV. It was on public access television. And he was instantly blown away by what was on. I think it was probably something really incredible and interesting, because that's what PATV shows. I think a lot of people flip right through public access because they think that it's going to be city meetings or the community slideshow, which is certainly what public access is where I grew up, near Chicago. It's certainly not that in Iowa City. And he came to school here, and we instantly started making tons and tons of video art, and all of it destined for public access television. I truly believe that PATV is probably one of the best art galleries in Iowa City. It's free to get into, and you don't even have to leave your house. You don't even have to be in Iowa City because so much of the programming on PATV is online. So you don't even necessarily have to come to Iowa City to be so inspired to want to stay. You can see it from anywhere in the world and be pulled to Iowa City in the same way that writers might be pulled here for the writing program. We could bring in multimedia artists from all over the country. And I really think that PATV and public access in Iowa City, just in general, is a really, really strong indication of how strong this community is and how much support there is for art and creative people. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pasi Jouhikainen. I'm originally from Finland. I've been a resident in Iowa City for close to 20 years now. And my experience with PATV actually was during those early years when I had recently moved to Iowa City. And it was a time that was kind of a tough time in my life. I'd been recently laid off from a temp job that I'd had for a few months. And some people that I'd gotten to know in Iowa City had graduated college and moved away. So I didn't know very many people, didn't have a lot of roots in the community and was trying to think about what to do next with my life, and just in general looking for ways to meet new people and get engaged. And as I looked into different things that are available, courses, meetings, and so on, PATV was something that very quickly I came across as something that was easy to get into. They were very welcoming people. They had workshops. There were no entry requirements. There was a very small fee for the workshops, but it was very manageable even for somebody who at the time was temporarily unemployed. And after I took some of the workshops and started doing some TV producing, I ended up learning some skills that I was really excited about, and thought that these might actually be something that I'd enjoy enough to pursue a career in that field. I ended up not doing that. I ended up going on to what's been a pretty great career in information technology here in Iowa City. But when I think back to those days, I know that a big part of my decision to stick around here and stay in Iowa City was based on the realization that this is a great community to live in. There are offerings here that many cities twice or even 10 times the size of Iowa City don't have for their citizens, and PATV was one of the most important things of that nature that influenced my decision to stay here. Thank you.
My name is Jason Smith, and I have lived in Iowa City since 1992, and when I was in 6th grade, I was involved in a youth leadership program and just a summer thing, and you could choose what you wanted to do that summer, and I chose to go to public access TV. It was in the library at the time, and had a blast. Just learned things that I would have never thought I would be doing. Turning a camera on was new to me, zooming in and out, all of that. Realized quickly that I enjoyed it and continued to do it through high school, and kind of fell out of it for about 8 years or so, and went back last year and was kind of scared about it. I was talking to a fellow member of the community, and she kept telling me, go back, do it. If you really enjoy it, do it. And I was scared to do it. The technology had changed so much, and went back in there and had remembered Josh. He wasn't the director at the time, but he was up and coming and a great guy, and I didn't think he would remember me, and I think we both were just, who is this guy type of thing, and we realized quickly, oh, it's that little kid, or that's probably what he was thinking. But he took me to the back, and there was still a picture of me from when I was in 6th grade, just editing and a smile on my face and all of that, and just couldn't believe it. And I was just felt like I was still a part of the station, and just got right back into it. And a year later, I've looked, and over 3,000 people have looked at things that I have made. And when I finished my first project, which was for the hair salon across the street, I was proud of myself and realized that I hadn't been that proud of myself in probably about 10 years. And it's kind of a bummer, but I realized that, hey, I've found a place where I can do things that make me feel proud and good. And I want to thank you guys for, making that happen. It's, everybody wants to immediately thank public access, and, it's the community that makes something like that happen. And I hope that you guys can continue to make that happen. And thanks for listening to me. Thank you.
Thinking of community, when I look back at communities I've been a part of in towns, most of the time, despite great views, amazing places, I think about people. About a year ago, I got drafted at church. It's the downside of having your uncle as a pastor. And they decided they wanted to start taping the services. Now, I enjoy some high-tech stuff here and there. I've run soundboards a time or two. But if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. And the classes and the equipment we were able to use with PATV were able to show us how we should do things, how to do it right. They were patient, great people, great classes. When I look back at those towns that I've been in, I think of the people. Probably isn't fair to them, or to the towns, but if down the road, if I leave Iowa City if the people I remember are as nice as the people at PATV have been, my memories of the city will be great, no matter what else happens. And so I'd like to thank you as well for supporting them so far and ask you to continue doing so.
I've been a resident of Iowa City for more than 20 years, and I graduated from the University of Iowa. Currently work and live in town, and I'm also a local performance artist and have been a guest on Neil's show earlier. And I just want to say that you know, PATV is unique because it's for the community, but it's also by the community. And even though it is TV, it does help you feel more connected to that community that you're a part of. And I think that's a positive thing. And as somebody who wants to stay living in Iowa City, I think that keeping an asset like PATV around is a really smart choice, because people that have that ability to be creative, they end up excelling in other ways, you know, whether it's business or just, you know, their job, just because they feel happier, they have that creative outlet. And so having PATV around is really, I think, just extraordinary for the community. So keep it going, because, you know, whether it's coverage of local government happenings or whether it's about the, you know, Northside Oktoberfest, what the community gets back from what is put in monetarily, I think, is exponential. So that's it. Thanks.
Well, I've come to town in 1997, and I've been a DJ since, you know, for quite some time. And there was a certain point in my life where things weren't going that great, and the only thing I could really hold on to was my music. And so, aside from doing shows out at bars and clubs and things like that, where I happened to have met Josh one night recording music in the band, it just dawned upon me that maybe I can reinvent myself and try a different approach and maybe do it in a way where everybody can see me in town rather than just at a bar or because I was born and raised in New York City, and I thought my music would be, you know, different than what's going on here in town, and so I thought maybe that'd be a nice way to get to the audience and get it out there. So Josh and I collaborated, and we did about 5, I think maybe 6 different sets of 1 hour and a half, and we edited it, and we do all sorts of side effects and all sorts of different digital things that he knew how to do. But in turn, it kind of helped me in doing that thing. It helped me bring myself out of that funk that was going on, you know, for a little while. And I have him to thank for it, and also PATV and the resources that you guys were able to provide for us and for me at that time. Since then, you know, things have progressed. You know, we've kind of gone in and out of communication, but as of recently, we were able to collaborate again, and recently too with a civil discourse political symposium that we held a little while back. I think it was in November, if I'm not mistaken, and we had the honor of hosting many important figures throughout the state and universities, such as Jim Leach. He came, and he was one of the folks that I was having the privilege to have PATV come and record. And just along those lines, it allows us and the university sometimes to get information out to the city and to the public that, well, sometimes you see it on UITV, you might think, oh, that's only university, or that's only for university or for students. But if you can record and you can have an outside source like PATV, I think more folks in town and the city will be able to look at it and be like, well, that's not just UITV, this is kind of more for the general public. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for the things you've done in the past, and I hope that you will continue with the efforts and support that you've done so far. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Josh Goding. I'm the Executive Director of PATV, and it's been my privilege to work for PATV for nearly 13 years now. I am humbled and inspired to be part of this awesome, diverse community of media makers. It's been an honor to witness part of PATV's legacy, seeing it grow from modest beginnings in the Iowa City Public Library in the 1990s, finally moving to our new home and our studio at 206 Lafayette Street. Over the years, PATV has truly earned the motto, Your Neighborhood Network. As producers from Iowa City and beyond have produced thousands upon thousands of hours of brand new, locally produced programming that is free of censorship and commercial oversight. In 2011, PATV was proud to have our busiest year on record, with over 200 workshop students participating in more than 400 video production workshops offered at PATV. In 2011, the same community went on to book our studio more than 600 times and check out our cameras and editing suites a combined 3,000 times. In 2011, this community, including the fine individuals and organizations here tonight, my hardworking staff, board members, and great volunteers and interns, went on to produce nearly 1,300 brand new original shows from, by, and about our local community. And that is something that no neighborhood, or rather no network, no commercial network could possibly ever say. As evidenced by the fine individuals here tonight and the scores of notes of support we still have rolling in, PATV has become an indispensable resource for the community, one of the last true portals of free speech that ensures that corporate money cannot limit the facts available to an informed electorate. Public access television is absolutely critical to an educated republic and a thriving democratic process. Thank you very much.
I would like to personally thank each and every one of you for showing up and voicing your opinions about PATV. It's very heartening to see this level of involvement, this level of again, communication, which is, I think, what PATV is really all about. So I thank you for your time, your comments. The meeting is closed. Thank you very much. Thank you.